So the Goldman Sachs CEO came out with a statement, and he said that the company is going to stop financing IPOs for companies with only white male board members.
What? That's so weird.
Right.
Did they say what their reasoning is for it?
Well, he said that, diversity is very important on boards.
Right.
So, he what he said was, this is a small step, but it's a step in the direction of saying, you know what? We think this is right.
I mean, I get they're trying to prove a point, especially given that people hate Goldman Sachs and think they're very unethical. For them to say this, it sounds more ethical, like they're embracing diversity and social change. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta stop. Can we take a race out of business? Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's either the company's good or not. It doesn't really matter if they're diverse or not. I feel like, yeah, diversity is good, but you shouldn't. If the best applicants are all white, and let's say someone like from another race does not want to work for that company, it's not the company's fault. I feel
it's not. And if I'm a shareholder right now for Goldman Sachs and I'm reading that statement, I'm thinking, what is going on?
Just playing with my money.
Can we finance the companies that are good? Like, does it really matter what race these people are behind the company?
Yeah, it's something that I'm kind of torn apart too. Like, I think it's honestly kind of. I think it's just weird that they're doing that, but at the same time, like, I understand what the whole issue is, especially that race is something that is a very touchy subject, and it's been that way since there were people. To be honest, like, it's just race has always been such a controversial issue. And I feel like nowadays it's even harder to talk about, but I feel like I get it. There's a there's like a little to no representation in business for diversity, and that's something that would be great to increase. But at the same time, it's like, just because I just feel like it's not smart with the money. If they're just Goldman Sachs, if they're just investing it because they want to make money, that should be their goal. It shouldn't be because they want to spread diversity or something. It's not up to them to do that.
Right. It just seems so strange to me how, you have this financial company,
right,
and they're not even interested in just the finances of the companies that they're involved in.
But even to an extent, I feel like it's kind of hard even now to have a company with just all white male.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just hard at that point anyways.
What do you mean by it's hard?
I don't know. I just feel like we're just so integrated nowadays.
Oh, that's what you mean? Yeah, definitely. I think you'd kind of have to. I don't know. You'd have to. I think
that you might even have to try to be like.
So is that what he's saying? Is that what the CEO is saying?
Maybe that's why. What he's thinking? Maybe it's because it's just so weird to not have anyone diverse.
I don't know. You still have to think there's companies out there where it just so happens. Oops! There's John. There's Bill. Right. They're just all white. I don't know.
But here's the question then. So what happens if there's a company with all the board members are African American?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Or if they're just all completely Asian?
That's not very diverse.
Well, Goldman Sachs.
Hold on. Let me read up the article. Let me read his exact statement.
Right.
Because maybe, I don't know, it applies. Yeah, so he only referred to that the companies have to have at least one non-white male board member. So that's a problem, Raj.
So then what happens? So then, because this is what I feel too. I feel like people have to stop thinking that, only whites are racist. There's a lot of Asians that will only hang with Asians. I mean, you saw from our school too. Like, there are some that refused to have, they didn't have any white people in their group, in their friend group. They just rather have Asians, or some African Americans rather only have African Americans in their group. You know what I mean? But if there was a group of Caucasians that only had Caucasian or whites in it, to be like, something's up with them. Let's.
So that's so interesting what you said about how, what if a company has all Asian employees, right? Yeah. So that's interesting because his reasoning behind this whole financing change is he said that diverse companies, they do better. That's his argument. But if that's the case, why is it only for white companies or people with, the board members?
Board members are.
Yeah. So, we know why he's doing it.
I mean, honestly, it's just for diversity clout.
Yeah, it's for the cloud.
Because like, and I feel like this is especially nowadays, especially with social media and how everything's going now. Companies are forced to,
Yeah.
make social compromises or that with the general consensus where it's like, okay, we only serve organic stuff, or we believe in ethical issues, or they'll have, let's say, okay, so like for example, when it's what the Gay Pride Month or whatever like that, all the apps change their colors to like the rainbow colors,
Mm-hmm.
or Apple released like that rainbow band to support it. I mean, like I get that they're trying to show. I get like they're trying to show that they care about everyone. They're trying to be inclusive, but I mean, I'm gonna be blunt. I don't care if Tim Cook supports gay rights or not. Like,
Yep.
it literally has no opinion on Apple at all.
Yeah.
Like,
as a shareholder, you think, is the CEO doing everything possible to return capital to me, right?
mm-hmm.
You don't care about political affiliation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get angry if it's like saying if he supports a cause where it's like significantly all whites or something like that. Like, I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, that's a company I should definitely like, I'm not gonna go out of my. You know what? I kind of take that back now, because I feel like there may be some LGBTQs that
right.
will say, let me get that Apple Watch band. So maybe it's also marketing.
I mean, for the Apple situation.